What's going on? Welcome into BP Insight. So just wrapped up watching just about all the Piers Morgan Andrew Tate interview, and I have to say it's a good interview. You know, I don't think this is my favorite of the Andrew Tate interviews, but a good interview for sure. So I really enjoyed it. Piers Morgan, you know, whether you like him or not, and I'm not the biggest fan. I think he's a smart guy. I think he asks pretty good questions. I think a lot of the questions have been, you know, maybe this is why Andrew Tate doesn't want to do podcasts as much anymore, because he's answered kind of a lot of these questions already. Like, how many times is he going to be asked, you know, what was jail like? Or how many times is he going to ask, are people going to ask him, what was some of the other questions kind of along the lines of jail? How many times is people going to ask him these questions? You know, what are the charges? What are the charges? What was prison like? What was it like being in a Romanian jail cell with cockroaches? You know, these questions kind of just are, you know, it's kind of same old at this point, even though those are a lot of the questions people are intrigued of, because it's kind of the new, not as much new information, but newer information for Andrew Tate. You know, before president was more of the, you know, women, prefer a male pilot, prefer, men are better drivers than women on average. It was the controversial stuff. No, I don't think it's really controversial, but, that people think is misogynistic, or he sounds like he's just really attacking women. So, yeah, this is a good interview with Piers. This is a good interview. I'm enjoying it. I think Andrew Tate made the best point about how, Piers Morgan asked how his message really affects young boys. And Andrew Tate had the perfect rebuttal that if he was a transgender who had cut off his testicles and was preaching about being trans, whatever, preaching all these, extremely left, extremely all these woke agendas, would he have been shunned from society like he's been? I think that was a great argument. Andrew Tate, I think he uses like examples to really prove his arguments, like in just such a beautiful way. Like, I think he just has such just excellent rebuttals. But yeah, it's Piers Morgan really, they really went back and forth. They went back and forth about COVID. They went back and forth talking about how, Andrew Tate says, he talks about he doesn't really have to have a woman, or, he's not really like a full believer in having a woman work. But he talks about this before. It's like, it's one of those things where if you're a man that, rich like Andrew Tate's been able to, acquire a substantial amount of wealth, what do you need to work for? Or why would your woman be working? Because that's the thing, a lot of times if your woman's at work, oftentimes a woman at work is in her kind of her masculine frame, and then when she comes home, it's kind of harder. It's harder to transition into that feminine frame. So yeah, Andrew Tate, I think he understands that. I don't know who Piers Morgan's dated. I don't know. I think he has a wife, but I think he would even understand. He would start to see that side of the argument if he had just a girlfriend or wife who was not working a job. And like I said, I actually don't even know. I guess I'm assuming right now, but I think if Piers Morgan dated women who strictly, did have a job, were more feminine, I think he would just say, you know what, you might as well just not have a job. You might as well just, stay home, take care of the house, take care of the kids. So, yeah, pretty good. This is a pretty good interview. I've enjoyed it. I think Andrew Tate sounds pretty serious in this interview. I think he's not as, he didn't go into it with, I think him and Piers Morgan, I guess, are kind of friends. I think there's a respect there. But I don't think he really likes him. I don't think he's I don't think he wants to necessarily be, good buddies with him. But yeah, there's certainly the respect factor there, and some good back and forth. But yeah, Piers Morgan keeps asking about the women stuff. I think a lot of that he's just trying to. He wants Andrew Tate to. I think he's trying to get him to break. And by break, I think he's trying to get him to just like, almost like admit that he is a misogynist, which Piers Morgan thinks. Just because I think Piers Morgan thinks that just because of most of the takes about women, Piers Morgan agrees with. So he thinks. So he just. So he already has that thought in his head that Andrew Tate is a misogynist. Yeah, it's a good interview. I really enjoyed it. I just kind of wanted to react a little bit to it.